We're at our garage and test facility. Let's see what we're going to be rolling out the door today. Well, looks like we got ourselves a Lexus RC350. There's a variety of engines offered in the RC, starting with the turbo 4-cylinder, geared mainly for fuel economy. On the upper end, a very healthy V8 engine, hooked to an 8-speed automatic rear-wheel drive. This is the 3.5-liter V6, which comes in different modes. You have the RC350 311 horsepower rear-wheel drive with an 8-speed automatic transmission. There's an RC300 with all-wheel drive and a detuned V6 putting out 260 horsepower to a 6-speed automatic transmission. And apparently this is something new, an RC350 with the 311 horsepower V6 and all-wheel drive. Says so right here on the price sheet. So does this mean the RC300 with the lower horsepower V6 is discontinued? I'm waiting to hear from Lexus on that. In the meantime, I can only show you what I have. And the fuel economy for this combination is 19 to 26 mpg. We'll be taking out in the real world to see what the real figures are soon enough. Here's a starting price going down the list, sticking to you with all the options. We also did a video on the Lexus 2021 RCF V8. We'll have a link for that video at the end of this video. All yours for almost 100 grand. What a deal. If you want the Lexus sports car convertible, we got the Lexus LC500 ragtop. We'll have a video for that too at the end of this video, so you're getting 3 Lexuses for the price of 1. As we do in all our videos, we're going to take the headlights out in the dark and see how they perform. So let's do that right now. It's dark enough. Let's take these headlights out and see what they do. Look pretty bright to me. Here we have the low beams on a wall 100 feet away. Very bright, but very, very low. Barely reaches out to the wall. High beam. Very bright in the middle. And here's what the rear view camera looks like in the dark. Not the highest resolution I've ever had, but more than adequate. Lights up pretty good. The rest of the cabin lights up like a Christmas tree. Anything you need to touch, easy to see. And here we have the high beams on a fence line 80 yards away, building 130 yards away behind the fence. Good wide spread. Go low beam. Barely reaches out to the fence line. Okay for city driving, but backcountry roads, you're going to need the high beams, no doubt. There are side marker lights for taking corners in the parking lots. Here I'm turning the steering wheel to the left. Everything lights up to the left. If I turn the steering wheel to the right, we'll do the same thing, of course. Overall, these lights are rather bright, but I would like a bit more range on the low beams, but I guess lights this bright would probably blind everybody if we raised them up a bit, so that's just the way they are. On the freeway, the high beams really work great. I can see about a mile and a half down the road. Go to low beam. The cutoff is very, very short. More than I would prefer. You can see the difference. Since we're testing the headlights in town, we might as well test the headlights out on the sticks on tight curves. As you can see, with the brights on, absolutely plenty of illumination, which is good because there's a lot of wildlife out here you do not want to hit. Indeed. But I go low beam, and as you see, a very low cutoff. I really can't see what's around the curve, and that kind of bothers me. If you're driving on roads like this, you want to be using the brights. Also, you'll notice in the dark the gauge cluster changes depending on what mode you're in. This is normal. Now we go to Sport and Sport Plus. And for those who want to drive an Eco, here it is. Who buys a Lexus sports car to drive an Eco? I guess some people do. And now we're entering dips. You can see the cutoff from the low beams, even shorter. Bottom line, I'm really not a fan of these low beam settings on these LED headlights, but as long as you keep the brights on, I guess it's not an issue. And we need to check underneath to see if there's a spare tire. $120 they're charging for this carpeted floor mat. Come on, guys, shouldn't that be standard? Yep, there's a spare tire under there. I don't recall getting one with a V8 model, but nice to know I have one on the V6. And here's the key for the wheel locks they charge you an extra $85 for. Again, shouldn't that be standard? I guess not. By the way, here is the rear view. Pretty nice looking car. Nice looking wheels too. I do have some pet peeves with this car design. Let's get them out of the way. Number one, the rear seats are not for humans. I don't even think you can fit a monkey back here or anything else with the legs. Good for pets or groceries. I think they do this for insurance reasons more than anything else. I know one thing, you never get me to sit back there. And number two, instead of the old swizzle stick control that we had on early Lexuses, we get a finger touch for the infotainment system. And I try to be polite whenever I show this, but it just sucks, I'm sorry. It's bad enough to operate when you're sitting still, but when the car is bouncing around, a stick works better than a finger touch. I wish manufacturers would just do away with these things. But we have no choice, so it'll take a lot of practice to get it working right. Alright, on the more positive side, there's lots of room in the glove box if you take out this super thick owner's manual and put it in the trunk, which I'm going to do later, or put it in the back seat. Not like anyone's going to sit there, right? And being the F Sport, we get a knob for Eco, Normal, Custom, Sport, or Sport Plus mode. Plus a snow button, traction control. I forgot what the whole thing does. If you want your heated or air-conditioned seats, simply press a button. No need to scroll through the infotainment screen. Thank you very much. And we get a real clock. That'll be functioning long after the warranty goes out, unlike some brands I can mention where they die in a year or two. The climate controls are very simple to operate. I like it better if it didn't have this silly finger touch thing. Here we go with the finger touch again. For the temperature, but I get used to it. For the performance buffs, we get paddle shifters on the steering wheel where they belong, not on the steering column like the Italians do, which is a stupid place to put them. They belong on the steering wheel, folks. The gauge cluster is well designed, gives lots of useful information. We are in the shade at the moment, but when you get outdoors, that glare can wipe everything out. I guess I should have listed this as my third complaint. Lexus, you need to fix this. Seems to be a common trait on almost all of their vehicles. You think somebody would notice this and do something by now. Alright, first half of the video show and tell is over. Second half, we'll go out and do some driving. By the way, if you get the RC with the all-wheel drive, you're going to have a big hump rubbing on your leg or resting your leg on. Really not an issue. I get used to it, but be aware, it is there. Lexus has some of the best power steering out there, and once again, we get it here. No complaints. Decent feeling feedback. Pretty good considering it's electric. As we do in all of my videos, we're going to take some mild speed humps around 20 miles per hour. See how the suspension performs on impact. Here comes number one. Heard the thumping from the tires, but didn't feel too much coming through the suspension. Number 2, some wheel hop on the rear, but nothing serious. Number 3, and the big nasty one. Yeah, I felt that one, but with a short wheelbase like we have and big tires, I would expect that. It's still pretty smooth on the pavement though. Keep in mind these are the larger 19-inch wheels you get with the F-Sport package, so they'll be a little noisier than the standard wheels you get on the non-F-Sport. Also, just a note, all-wheel drive is great if you live in a place where the roads are wet from rain, snow, ice, or whatever. But here in the desert, all-wheel drive serves no purpose whatsoever. It simply drags the engine and knocks the fuel economy down just a little bit. For most environments, the rear-wheel drive RC350 is more than adequate for you. I thought losing the 8-speed automatic and going to the 6-speed that comes with the all-wheel drive would hurt performance, but actually the engine seems to be doing quite well with the 6 gears. Surprise, surprise. Well, let's see, 90 miles of city driving, 18.5 mpg. Let's do a reset and do some highway miles. About 120 miles. Should do it. There you go. This is a pretty rough road here because of construction, but still fairly comfortable. The only noise I'm getting is the rumbling from the big tires and wheels. The suspension is doing a great job absorbing the impact, and the wind noise is very low. If we get some good fuel economy numbers off this rig, it might be an even better highway cruiser. And the power steering is great, excellent road feel. Nice seats, good driving position. Looks good thus far. Alright, 120 miles, almost did 27 mpg, but 26.9 is good enough. Since we're driving in the dark and we completed the fuel economy test, we might as well run out some more gas and do the curved forest road test. And this vehicle handles very, very good. Now when it comes to handling, which is better on the RC, the all-wheel drive or the two-wheel rear drive? Well, according to Consumer Reports magazine, there's no difference in handling between an all-wheel drive and two-wheel drive. They say the only difference is in acceleration on slick roads. I have not found that to be true. Spinning out a car with four-wheel drive traction is a lot harder than two-wheel drive traction for the most part. In general, anyway. And this road's a bit slick because of some rain we've had and it's sticking the road like glue. I'd be a bit more nervous doing this in a two-wheel drive. And that's all I can tell you. The bottom line, if you live where the roads are wet because of rain or snow, definitely all-wheel drive is a blessing. If you drive on roads that are not wet, like in the desert like I do, you probably don't need all-wheel drive. I've driven the V8 RCF on this road, and obviously it's a bit more fun because of the extra power and acceleration, but overall I wouldn't complain about this 350 V6 because it's still pretty quick itself. Both are good choices. That was a nice little spin we took last night, but it's time to wrap up this video. So what do I think of the RC350? It's not the quickest RC in the lineup, but it's more practical and I like it a lot. I could probably live without the all-wheel drive. I'm in the desert, I don't need all that traction, but if you do, it's nice to know you can have that high output 311 horsepower engine instead of the 260, and this might be for you. Here's some links to other Lexus videos we've done, just click and watch.